Now we'll study the company's cost records and audit rules, which we have already mentioned. Earlier there were separate rules under the 1956 Act. There were separate rules for maintenance of records, that is company's cost accounting record rules. These are earlier known as CCARR, company's cost accounting record rules. Then there were some company's cost audit report rules. This was for maintenance of records, this was for cost audit. Okay. Under the new Companies Act, there is only one rule by the name Companies Cost Records and Audit Rules 2014. Original rules 30th June 2014. Now, these rules were applicable from the financial year 14-15 and onwards. That is, these rules were applicable from 1st April 2014 and onwards, for the financial year starting on or after 1/4/2014. Okay. During the same year, as I already mentioned, the rules were amended. The amendment rules were issued on 31st December 2014. Okay. And these rules were made applicable from the date of its notification. So here there is a, we can say there is a fix, because for a particular financial year, that is 14-15, two set of rules are there. One is this 30th June rules, which were made retrospectively applicable, and then this 30th, we can say 31st December rules, which were made applicable on the date of its notification. So which rule do I follow? The general practice which have been accepted in the industry as of now is that we will follow these rules. Okay. Because if these rules say that you have to maintain the records, you will have to anyway maintain the records for 3 months. That is January, February, March. So, and the scope has been increased. So companies who were earlier not covered, and those are being covered under the new rules, they'll have to get their cost records maintained and then audited thereafter for 14-15 as well. So these 30th June rules, these are of no relevance to us. The rules of relevance for us is these 31st December rules. Although there are some common provisions, so we'll study these rules in such a manner that those provisions which have been overruled by this 31st December notification will not study them. Okay, because they are of no relevance to us. Okay. As in any rules, rule 1 relates to the name and applicability, and rule 2 relates to the definition. That is of no relevance to us. Now we'll come to rule 3. Instead of doing it rule wise, we'll do it simply. Rule 3 says about the maintenance of cost records. Okay. It says, what are the conditions for a particular financial year? For example, financial year 14-15 is there. Just for an example, what is the condition that so that I have to maintain the cost records? There are two conditions. One is, if my overall turnover of the company during the previous financial year is more than or equal to 35 crore rupees, and I am engaged in production of goods or providing services as specified in the table below. Okay, products or services as specified in the table. Two tables have been specified in rule 3. Table A and table B. Table A is for regulated sectors. Table B is for non-regulated sectors. Okay. Although there are some goods in table A which are under non-regulated category, and in table B which are regulated by the government in some or the other way. But we'll not study it in that manner. You simply refer to it as table A and table B. Okay. And for the purpose of these rules, regulated sectors are those which have been specified as regulated in the table. Okay, whether any, in actual scenario, whether there are any regulations or not, that is immaterial to us. Okay, so what is the requirement? That the overall turnover of the company during the immediately preceding financial year is equal to or more than 35 crores, plus the company is engaged in production of goods or providing of services as referred to in these tables. Okay. So for the purpose of maintenance of records, there is no differentiation between these tables. Achha, for the purpose of cost audit, there is a difference. This is the table. If my goods fall under table A, for example, table A includes services like telecom, electricity, pharmaceuticals, etc. etc. So if I am producing pharmaceutical, the intent is that even smaller companies would be under the mandate of cost audit or maintenance of cost records. Under the mandate of cost audit, even smaller companies would be under the ambit in case of regulated industry. In case of non-regulated industry, only the larger companies would be under the ambit. Okay, fine. So the criteria is during the immediately preceding financial year, in case of table A, the overall turnover should be equal to or more than 50 crore rupees, plus the turnover of the covered products would be equal to or more than 25 crore rupees. For example, in case a company, see, this differentiation is only in case of those companies who are multi-product companies who manufacture more than one product. Okay.
Single product.
In case of single product, the overall turnover and the turnover of the product covered, that would be same. Okay. In case of table B, there is non-regulated sector. The overall turnover should be more than equal to 100 crore rupees, and the turnover of the covered products should be equal to or more than 35 crore rupees. This is the only condition. Some other conditions are also specified in the 30th June rules, but they have been done away with. Okay. So this was our rule number 4. This is rule number 3. Okay.